Alright, I've seen this video trending on Twitter for the past 5 days, I think. People are portraying this video as, like, they're portraying this person to be as bad as the Austrian painter, if you know what I mean. There's a tweet that literally said that she is the reincarnation of the Austrian painter. So, yeah, YouTube's fucking up. Anyway, you're gonna have the video in the description if it ends up on YouTube. I'm gonna leave it down in the description so you can watch it for yourself. It's a pretty long one. It's an hour-long video. So, I don't want to yap too much. I want to see what's it about because it's been trending on Twitter like crazy. It's got, I think, 200k views. Yeah, 230k views in 2 weeks, which is crazy. So I want to watch it. I want to see what's it about. I want to see why do people hate it so much. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Like the video, leave a comment, and boost it in the algorithm if it ends up on YouTube. So it's very appreciated.
Before we begin, please be aware that this video contains very heavy spoilers for Genshin Impact up to version 6.4, also known as Luna 5, the current game version as of recording. So if you clicked on this
Luna 5, so that was a patch ago, right? Luna 5. No, that was 2 patches ago.
Haven't
Okay.
played up through these quests yet, and you are still interested in doing so, please watch this at your own risk. Also, I would like to say that while I play Genshin frequently, I'm certainly not a lore expert. It's also worth pointing out that Genshin lore only gets more confusing and convoluted as time goes on, so...
I mean, I can't argue with that. I cannot argue with that. It's true.
That might factor in as well. I might get stuff wrong. You can feel free to correct me about anything in the comments, but I will do my best.
Whenever there's time shit, whenever there's past, future, and then the future overlaps with the past, and then the past changes the present, but the present affects the past, then like it's due to be fucked up. In my opinion, the story will get fucked up one way or the other.
Wrong. You can feel free to correct me about anything in the comments, but I will do my best.
Oh, people have corrected me. All right.
Let me just start by saying that Genshin Impact is one of my favorite games.
It's crazy what's been going on Twitter.
There's a lot to be said about Genshin and that Genshin fans are kind of a meme. There's a lot of valid critiques to be thrown Genshin's way. For example, like many gacha games, they use a very predatory business model, and Hoyoverse makes millions of dollars off of FOMO and by fostering people's gambling addictions. And I would argue Genshin is actually worse than
what is she gonna say?
a lot of other Hoyo games too, because it's not as generous.
It's true. My thing with gacha and gambling is, can you really call it a gambling if it's guaranteed? What I mean is, you know when you're gonna get the character at your latest. Everything else is you gambling to get it earlier. Right? But can it actually be considered gambling if you have a guarantee? Because like I always take like blackjack, or I take like roulette. Like you're never guaranteed to win there. Right? No matter how good you are at playing it, you're never really guaranteed that you're gonna win. But in gacha, you're kind of guaranteed to get the character after 180 pulls, right? Even though everything else is chance, can you really call it gambling? Because I don't know, that I feel like that term is like thrown away easily. For example, CS cases is pure gambling. You're not guaranteed to get a knife from a case, so it's pure gambling. Some people open 10 cases. Me, I opened like 1,000. I never got anything. I never got a fucking knife. So that's pure gambling. But if you know you're gonna get something in 180 pulls, it's like, can it be considered gambling? I guess it can, because there is luck involved, but I don't know.
Millions of dollars off of FOMO and by fostering people's gambling addictions. And I would argue Genshin is actually worse than a lot of other Hoyo games too, because it's not as generous. From my understanding, other games from this company have made up for a lot of Genshin's greed by giving away more free characters.
3 5 stars in Genshin since launch, and it's only Aloy. 3 5 stars in Honkai Star Rail, and you have Archer and Dr. Ratio. 3 limited 5-star ones since 2025. 3 standard 5-star after 300 pulls.
And by making it easier to obtain materials to level them up.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Genshin refuses to adapt even after over 5 years of updates. The resin cap is still only at 200 with no resin overflow system.
I mean,
and the weapon and
you
talent
can't argue with
materials
that.
are still only available for a few days each week.
That is the main thing that I've been complaining, and people call me a kurabot. Like, resin, locked domains, no artifact loadouts, and no skip button are the 4 main things that I've been complaining about this game. I don't give a fuck about nothing else.
Which is an outdated system that serves absolutely no purpose.
True.
But, despite all of those flaws, Genshin kind of stole my heart in the beginning. I had never played a game like this before, meaning a gacha game. I didn't know how the pity system works.
Genshin was my first gacha as well.
Pull whenever I had fates, and I didn't save them at all because I wasn't keeping up with any upcoming banners or anything. And I would spend my Primo Gems equally on both intertwined and acquaint fates because that seemed like the financially responsible thing to do. I shudder to think about it even now. But when I first started back in October of 2020, during Klee's first ever banner, none of that mattered, because Genshin was pretty magical early on. Not only was it special because back then, you really didn't have to worry about power creep.
True.
You could pretty much build any character you wanted if you liked them.
My main team, what the fuck is this? What is Chong Yun doing here? What the fuck is his purpose? Alright.
But there was this feeling of newness that came with starting out in 1.0. This open world was laid out before you with 2 beautifully designed nations. The music was, and still is, so gorgeous and immersive. Playing with headphones and just listening to the soundtrack while running around with your favorite characters was so lovely. There were little puzzles to solve and stories to tell, all backdropped by a beautiful landscape. The story told by the Archon quests was relatively simple, but the characters were interesting and so lovable that they gave the quests life in their own way. And then there were events like the first Lantern Rite and the first Wind Bloom. Don't get me wrong, I think there have been some really good Lantern Rites in recent years.
There have, but I think recently Genshin has been really lacking with events. This summer event might be the worst one ever. The games are not fun. I haven't played the story of it, but games wise, it's very tedious. It's not fun to play, and if the event is not fun to play, then what the fuck is the point? If event is gonna feel like a chore, then it's not done well. Event's gotta be something that, you know, it's fun. It's not something that you do every day. Whether that is the combat event, a wind bloom, or whatever it is, it should be something that doesn't. How do I say this? It should be something that comes back every once in a while, and you're like, oh, I kind of missed this event, or this event is cool. I wish they kind of bring it back in the future. But this summer event, bro, my God, whoever designed it, bro, lock him up and throw away the key. Feed him to the dogs.
Don't get me wrong. I think there have been some really good Lantern Rites in recent years. The one featuring Gaming comes to mind. But I really don't think that the sheer innocent joy that came with these events early on will ever be matched in the future. And plus I think that Genshin has kind of forgotten about Wind Bloom. But like, the cutscenes were so beautiful. Getting to see what all of these characters in Liyue and Mondstadt were up to during these times of year. I mean, that cutscene of all the characters walking around Mondstadt together spawned so much shipping, and I was absolutely there for it, just like everybody else was. Following this, we had Inazuma, Sumeru, and Fontaine. Again, all beautiful nations with so much potential.
Fontaine was the peak of Genshin. Don't argue with me. It was the peak of Genshin.
Potential for exploration. They encourage you to look in every nook and cranny. There's so much lore to be found that you might never see it all unless you peruse the Genshin wiki. One of my
There was what?
much lore to be found that you might never
There
see
was
it
so
all
much
unless
lore
you
to be
peruse
found.
the Genshin wiki.
Well, you see, you say it as if it's a good thing. I think that is a really bad thing. That you have to go on a fucking Genshin wiki to learn lore because it's not told to you in like not in game, but it's not told to you. You gotta go and search for it. I think when it comes to lore, main lore, the lore that's very important, needs to be put in front of the players so that everyone knows what the fuck is going on. Then you have Before the Sun and Moon, which is literally a random book from Enkanomiya that I didn't even know existed up until like year 2 of playing. And that book has some of the most important lore in the game. And so the average player that doesn't really browse YouTube, that doesn't really go on Genshin Wiki, isn't really gonna know what the fuck is going on because they didn't read a random book from Inazuma. You know? So I think like main stuff that you just gotta know to understand needs to be like put in front. Like literally spoon-fed. Because if I gotta go and search, go through books, go through fucking Wings description, fucking a description of a banana peel, like bro, I don't even want to know the lore at that point. Like I don't sit here in front of my PC to read a 10-page essay just so I might learn some more lore about the game. It's cool to have lore, but not like a game-changing lore. Lore about the world, about the things that happened, it's cool. But like main stuff that influences literally the main story needs to put like it needs to be put in front so everyone knows it. I think locking it behind books and descriptions is a really, really bad thing. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. Some people like it.
One of my favorite examples of all of the records and notes you can find are about Ildodore, and they're scattered throughout Sumeru. Just discovering how immensely evil he was made me
That's cool. That's cool. That's fine. That's fine.
so excited to see what they would do with a villain like that in this story. And we will get to that. But even if the story occasionally got dull, and I know a lot of people struggled with Inazuma, believe me, I have problems with it too, I know I could always count on seeing a character I liked. When Inazuma was boring me to death in the middle, or when it was busy underdeveloping Raiden A, I could at least maybe see Kazuha sometimes, who is still one of my favorite characters in the game to this day. A gacha game relies on its characters like almost no other type of game does.
True.
If you want people to pull for them, they have to appeal. And most of them did. They had beautiful designs and interesting personalities that sealed the deal. So yes, Genshin is one of my favorite games.
Hold on, bro. This video is lagging. Let me switch my browser.
The game relies on its characters like almost no other type of game does. If you want people to pull for them, they have to appeal. And most of them did. They had beautiful designs and interesting personalities that sealed the deal.
I just had to switch
Genshin
browsers.
is one of my favorite games. But I'm also its biggest hater. And I know what you're gonna say. You're just nostalgic. That's the only reason you think it was better back.
That's what I wanted to say in the beginning. I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia going on, but I was like, I'm not gonna say it.
But I have proof. I mean, why else would I make a whole video essay on an unestablished YouTube channel if I didn't have proof? So, was Genshin always this weird and bad? No, it wasn't.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. So, when we talk about
This
bad
is some nice
Genshin,
editing.
we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Nalan. In case you're unfamiliar, Genshin bases its nations on real-world cultures in terms
True.
of visual inspiration, the names of the characters, and the nation's customs. Mondstadt is based largely on Germany,
Yeah.
Liyue on China, Inazuma on Japan, and so on. Natlan, similarly to Sumeru, is based on multiple real-world cultures, including Mesoamerican societies, Polynesian cultures, and the cultures of African peoples. It's hard to pin down what they were thinking when they picked out all of these places, each so different to represent just one nation in the game. I'm certainly not the person to listen to on if this is bad representation, but I will say I do find it odd that the regions based on parts of the world where historically many black and brown people have lived are a mishmash of many different cultures, and that the characters are whitewashed versions of these people. It just gives me pause, to say the least. For many,
That's something that people have been complaining ever since Natlan released, that the characters are way too white. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. But I would like to see characters at least as tanned as Kaya is. I think having that diversity would be very, very nice. I do like tanned characters myself. I feel like that's a really missed opportunity to have a more diverse range of characters. But I mean, it's China we're talking about, so
of these people, it just gives me pause, to say the least. For many other reasons too, Natlan was understandably poorly received by fans, at least in the United States. I'm not really sure how other parts of the world reacted to it. It's easy to see why though, because it's the same reasons that I didn't like Natlan. The landscapes are fine, but aesthetically, a lot of Natlan doesn't mesh well with existing aesthetics of the game. And one of the major problems people had was the characters' access to modern technology and concepts like motorcycles, flying guns, rollerblades, and DJ sets.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem about technology. Technology has always been there. It's just that I feel for the Nation of War, they kind of went a very different route. First character they introduced was Mualani, and she was riding a fucking shark. Next character was Kinich, and he had like a pet pixel dragon. Right? Then you have the DJ set, you have Mawika's bike, the flying gun. I feel like it's a fine idea to have those things. I just think for the Nation of War, they might have overdone it. When Natlan was introduced, when Nouvelet introduced Natlan and he said, Natlan is the nation of dragons. War ravages those lands like an undying flame, right? You would think, yo, this place is gonna be ravaged lands, fire and shit, like war-torn fields, blades stuck in the ground, fucking dead bodies and shit. And then we get into Natlan and we chase fucking Pokemons. You know, the dragons that Nouvelet referred to were saurians that were literally fucking plushies. So I think they set a totally different expectations to what Natlan was. I don't think Natlan was rewritten in the middle of Fontaine or anything. I just think they set a totally different explanation or expectations, my bad. The expectations that they set just didn't really meet as to what they envisioned for Natlan. If they introduced Natlan a little bit differently, like a colorful place that has its issues with the abyss and stuff, that would have been fine. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But to introduce it as a nation of war, a war-torn land where flame ravages everything, and then you have people partying, dancing, Mawika fucking singing, riding her fucking bike, what was said and what was done were two totally different things.
Concepts like motorcycles, flying guns, rollerblades, and DJ sets. I'm not even necessarily mad at the idea of having more modern tech in Natlan.
Oh, exactly.
But the problems lie more in the execution. First, Natlan made a point to set up an aesthetic style for Natlanese technology, like that within the ancient Sacred Mountain area, but then they only used it in that area. If Maoika's motorcycle or Shilonen's DJ set looked anything like this, and not like sleek, modern variations of those objects, maybe they wouldn't have felt so out of place. And another
like I said, I don't have a problem with how they look. I just feel like they were in the wrong region. I just think Natlan was supposed to be a little bit different. That's it.
other problem with the tech is that no one else in Natlan, other than the playable characters, use it at all. You don't see any other Natlanese people rollerblading or driving vehicles. They probably wouldn't feel so out of place if other people in the 6 tribes had access to this stuff.
True, that is also true. Because they're like the only ones that have that shit. Yeah, I can see that.
There's perhaps no location in Natlan that is so out of place as the Easy Breeze Holiday Resort. I did love the lore that this location provided for Bennett, but everything else about it is so ass, dude.
They're in a band. Yeah, it's things like this.
Provided for Bennett, but everything else about it is so.
It's things like this that just, for me, like it makes no sense. Like why? Why the fuck are these characters in a band? Like bro, you're putting people in things that just, well, it brings a question like why? Like Mawika's fucking character trailer, you would imagine for a goddess of war, for the Archon of Flames, you would imagine that it would be a lot like different. But no, she was holding a concert. Like, what? I think the idea for the characters is cool. I just think it should have been done in a different region or after the fucking story was finished. Like, after you finish the main story, like, introduce whoever the fuck you want, I don't care. Introduce a characters from a band or stuff, but I don't know, man. It's just, it was just weird, bro.
It genuinely feels like a different game to walk around this resort. There's a huge slide in the shape of a Caholosaurus, a dark ride a la Disneyland, a field that looks like a fucking Wii Sports golf course, and like a music festival area with a dance-off stage.
I mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. I really don't have a problem with that. It's a nice place. It's literally a holiday resort. I mean, what would you expect from it? It's literally a summer part of the map. It was made for the summer event, but it stayed, so it literally gives us summer vibes, like you went somewhere on a vacation. So it makes sense.
I cannot stress enough how immersion breaking it is to explore this area.
I don't agree with that.
Have there been silly summer themed areas in the past?
I don't agree with that.
Yes, but none of them have ever had an aesthetic on par with this one. I mean, the Golden Apple Archipelago just looks like it was taken straight out of Mondstadt or Liyue in terms of design, while still looking very fantastical, with impossible landscapes that could only be created by a mage of incredible power like Alice. Unfortunately, the visual aspects aren't Natlan's only faults. I and many others also found the lore and quest of this region to be pretty lacking too. We'll start with the basics. Each nation in Teyvat has a divine ideal that is represented by the Archon. So far, we've been introduced to 6 ideals of 7: freedom, contracts, eternity, wisdom, justice, and war. Most of these, at least to me, represent a good idea of what a divine ideal should be.
The idea of war was fine because of the whole Abyss thing. But Natlan was way too happy of a region that is under constant fighting and war. I'm gonna be honest, it was way too fucking happy. And that might be a thing that not a lot of people mention, but I think is very it's very breaking to have a nation of war, a land that is constantly fighting, and people that are all happy and smiling all of the time. Like, bro, if your country is at war, bro, there's nothing to fucking smile about tomorrow. There's nothing to fucking smile about. What the fuck do you mean we're holding a concert? Bro, we fought yesterday. Like we're gonna fight tomorrow again. We're holding a fucking concert. Like,
Most of these, at least to me, represent a good idea of what a divine ideal should be, something that a god is supposed to uphold in their nation. Sometimes upholding the ideal leads to conflict in the region. For example, in her upholding of eternity, Raiden Shogun sealed her borders and stole the ability to use elemental magic from her people, all for the sake of keeping Inazuma the same for all time. At the same time, Raiden herself represents the concept of eternity. She locks herself away to practice hundreds of years of meditation and uses undying puppets of herself to exact her will on the people of her nation. It's honestly very upsetting the way that they rushed through her arc so much, because I think she would have made for such a compelling character otherwise. Now think about Maoika in the same way, with regards to her divine ideal, which is war. How does she represent war?
I mean, it's true. It's true. If someone gave you this character and said, what do you think she is a god of? I fucking think like, I don't know, god of speed or something like that. I don't know. This just doesn't scream a god of war. You know what I mean?
Well, she's fighting a war against the Abyss, like everybody else in Teyvat. Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations, but still, what happens when the war ends? Which it does at the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Maoika is some battle-crazed maniac. At most, she's just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her actions. Do you see how war doesn't really work as a divine ideal, and least of all with Maoika as its representative? Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions, and yet there's absolutely no conflict between them. It really just doesn't make any sense. This is why I personally always thought it would be cool if the Pyro Archon was a villain to her people. Maybe she makes them fight each other gladiator style for her own entertainment, and
I don't think the tribes being at war would change anything. I think the war against the Abyss was a good idea. Hell, I even said if it wasn't a war with the Abyss, it could have been the ideal of a war within, right? A war with oneself. A war with yourself, right? You fight yourself to be a better version in the future, to be a stronger version of yourself in the future. That could have been an interesting idea. It didn't necessarily have to be the Abyss. I would have enjoyed the war within idea. I just think that, like I said, it was too happy for a nation of war, in my opinion. Like, Natlan was the one region where there were consequences, where people actually died, right? Chaska's sister died, NPCs died, and depending on who you went to save, different people would kind of live and die. So that was a really good aspect of it. But when it ended, it didn't really have anything else to kind of bring to the table. I don't know. It's been a while since I finished Natlan, so my memory is kind of it's kind of like faded a little bit of how it felt, but yeah, I just think it was too happy for a nation of war. That's literally
to her people.
Like,
maybe she makes them fight each other.
The main reason, I think, in my opinion.
And then maybe we would have a better rebellion storyline than Inazuma with an Archon that's completely irredeemable. Because we certainly know that the Cryo Archon is gonna get redeemed in some way if she's ever going to become playable.
With her war crimes? What did the Tsuritsu do? I don't even remember.
We'll also touch on that in a later section in more detail. Instead, in Maoika, we have an Archon who is a Mary Sue. Ironic when she's the only Archon who is actually a human and would...
I mean, okay, would you say, if I showed you this part right here, if I showed you this, would you assume that this is a god of war?
In Maoika, we have
this right here. If I showed you this, would you say this is a god of war?
Ironic when she's the only Archon who is actually a human and...
I don't think she's a fucking diva or some shit. With a leather suit and everything. Like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense.
Would likely have the most flaws out of any of them. The thing is, Maoika is very flawed. She is extremely irresponsible and brash, even when it will put the lives of her entire nation at stake. Her nation is at war with the Abyss, and she's like, Well, best thing I can do for you guys now is go to sleep for 500 years and hope and pray that the heroes I need will appear to me when I need them. What? That is crazy of you! And yet the game tries to make me feel bad for her for doing this. The game, instead of pointing out how terrible and risky this plan is, just focuses on the fact that Mawika had to say goodbye to her family in order to put this plan into action. Dog, I do not care. The writing doesn't focus at all on what's important here. It just makes her out to be the perfect Archon who's good at everything and refuses to fail. There were no memorable parts of that quest for me, except for maybe the final battle. And it's not even like the characters here can make up for this nation's incredibly boring and stupid story. For me, all of them were so nothing. It boggles my mind that so many of y'all are shipping these MFs together when they barely have interesting relationships with each other at all.
I can see Shilon in Mawika, but other than that, I guess Kinich and Mualani. But other than that, yeah, they don't really have some crazy interactions.
I feel like all of their personalities could be explained in one word. Mualani is bubbly. Kinich is standoffish. Kachina is insecure. Veresa, she eats a lot. Oh, and Mawika. What can be said that I haven't already touched on? She's good at everything. She's the perfect Archon, and even her reckless plan for saving her nation isn't questioned by anyone that matters or treated by the game as risky at all, even though it is. And in the end, she just defeats the Abyss with the power of friendship.
There it is. There it is. The power of friendship. I was waiting on that. I didn't want to say it. I was waiting on that. Here we go.
And in the end, she just defeats the Abyss with the power of friendship. It reminds me of that TikTok where they had the cutscene with all the heroes side by side with the clip from My Little Pony Equestria Girls. The writers go out of their...
She ain't wrong, bro. She's not wrong when it comes to this. It was literally the power of friendship, bro.
Way to make Mawika seem like the coolest person ever, when in reality she has like no personality. Like, can we talk about how her trailer was just this cringe ass music video where all of the nation heroes are playing instruments in a band? Oh my god.
Agreed. It was one of the most disappointing trailers. I'm not gonna lie. It just didn't make sense.
It's like literally unbearable to watch.
And
it's not like any of the other characters do anything to move the plot forward. This region doesn't even know how to treat its lore-relevant characters as such. Auroran and OdinssoN are the Natlan heroes from the Masters of the Nightwind and the Collective of Plenty, respectively, but I guess they're not important enough to be the focuses of the Tribal Chronicles. Instead, those honors are given to Citlali and Veresa, the latter of which we hadn't even met during the Natlan Archon quest. She was literally invented just to take OdinssoN's place. I wonder why that is. In any case, most take OdinssoN's place.
Also, wasn't OdinssoN the one shown in, like, literally in the beginning of Genshin? Since it was shown, I think, I don't remember who it was. But I know OdinssoN was shown for Natlan. Lyney was shown for Fontaine. Lyney and Lynette. And they were the ones that kind of introduced you to the region. And OdinssoN was the one shown for Natlan. So I was thinking that OdinssoN was going to be the one that kind of guides us through the land. Kind of like Lyney and Lynette did in the beginning of Fontaine. But then OdinssoN just kind of showed up at the end. I don't know, it was weird. It is kind of weird. I don't know.
I wonder why that is. In any case, most of the important actions are driven by Mawika and the Traveler, so none of these characters feel important at all. They're just accessories to, again, the power of friendship storyline. But like I said, that obviously doesn't work unless these characters feel like they have meaningful relationships with each other, which they don't. Needless to say, I did not pull for any of the Natlan characters, even though their combat mechanics are in the meta right behind lunar reactions.
You're crazy.
The only one I really wanted, and only just recently got on Inefa's rerun, was the 4-star character Aoife, and that's mostly because he's a gorgeous cowboy.
And he's a tanned character, which is very rare.
On the topic of Natlan characters being in the meta, Natlan is also when the shill started getting really bad.
True.
Soon enough, the
I wouldn't say really bad, but that's when kind of the shilling kind of began. I think Not Cry is when it just got absurdly like crazy.
Abyss and other endgame modes were tailor-made for Night Soul mechanics, with some bosses that are nearly impossible to beat without Notlan characters in the team.
I mean, you got fucking Traveler for this shit.
Just started a trend that only gets worse with time, one that leads us directly into...
Not Cry, the Genshin villain problem. Oh, I'm so interested in this.
It's hard to forget how hyped people were when the first trailer for the new area of Teyvat, Nodcry, was released. Nodcry is a sub-nation of Snezhnaya, the last of the 7 nations we are supposed to visit in our search for our lost twin. So naturally the lore is getting pretty intense here. But the reaction to seeing so many lore-relevant characters in one trailer was immense.
Yeah.
We got first glimpses of 2 members of the Hexen Circle, Alice and Nicole,
yeah.
The Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius, Varka, who we'd only heard about in passing until this point, and 2 Fatui Harbingers that hadn't appeared on screen before, Sandrone and Columbina. Every look we got was very fleeting, and it was hard to glean any info from this trailer.
I was very
alone,
hyped for this.
But people were still so excited. Imagine what Nodcry has in store if there's so many important characters here, ones that we've only heard whispers about prior. Well, Nodcry is better than Notlan by a long shot, but would you hate me if I said that this also disappointed me?
I wouldn't hate you. I would say that the beginning of Not Cry was insanely well done. The beginning was probably the best. I said Not Cry is probably the best region they've done. I remember saying this. Up until I think it was Act 4, when we first defeated Dottore. Or was it later on? I don't remember. When we first defeated Dottore, that's when I was kind of like, I didn't like that, because it just felt way too easy. It felt, again, the friendship won, and I don't like that. The whole Rerir storyline, bro, that was really good. I love how Rerir's story ended. But when we came to Dottore, that's when it kind of began. Like, literally, there's no way we can defeat Dottore, but with power of friendship, you know, that's just sort of kind of, I was like, whatever, I don't give a fuck.
A long shot. But would you hate me if I said that this also disappointed me? Don't get me wrong, Nodcry in a lot of ways was kind of a positive return to form for Genshin. First of all, these characters actually feel like they know each other past, teehee, we're all best buddies. Aino and Anefa are so sweet, Varka and Flynn's are hilarious together, and Nefer and Lauma have some of the craziest Yuri subtext since Beidou and Ningguang. These characters feel more real as a result of their relationships with each other. I could enumerate
characters were a lot more connected.
More about them based on how they interact with others. Crazy, right? It made for a more interesting quest too, one that I could more easily.
Is this me or is the video lagging?
Crazy, right? It made for a more interesting quest too, one that I could more easily become invested in. Nodcry did a lot of stuff right, but the true problem with the region unfortunately falls on the back of one character for me. One that was so highly anticipated, not just by me, but by so many people in this fandom.
Columbina.
But she delivered so little.
Yeah.
Columbina. I know, there's a lot of Columbina lovers out there, but I'm sorry. There are so many reasons I cannot stand this woman. And part of it is because she's a complete disappointment. You might be familiar with the way that people thought Columbina.
Oh yeah, bro. This stuff, and I'm gonna say it right away because I believe she is gonna dive in. I think Columbina was supposed to be eerie. I don't like that they turned her into another waifu. I'll say it. I don't give a fuck. People are gonna hate me for it. I never said she got retconned, rewritten. I'm just saying that if they went the route of Columbina being very eerie, like this art kind of suggests, I think it would have... Because we don't really have those kind of characters. You don't really have a eerie, very kind of... I don't want to say scary, but very mysterious kind of character. And they went the completely different route. Which, I mean, at this point, how is she different than other characters? She's a moon goddess, right? She got rejected by the world and shit. But like, if you made her an eerie character, she would be the only one in the game. Very unique. But in the end, she just became like every other fucking female. Where she depends on the fucking traveler. She can't do anything by herself. Like, we went to the moon because Columbina needed help. Again, like, at this point, bro. The fucking babysitting people.
Is because she's a complete
You're fucking
disappointment.
goddess.
You might be
Come
familiar
on,
with the
man.
way that people thought Columbina was going to be a creepy character, maybe leaning into the biblically accurate angel aesthetic. There was a super popular
hoped
theory
for
that
it.
Columbina was a member of the canonical angel race, so this would make sense in a way. This creepy aesthetic for Columbina was also explored in a beautiful animation for Hoyo Fair called Stairway to Heaven by Kieru. The imagery is so spooky.
I mean, look at that. I mean, fuck. This is like a kid's game at this point. We got Roblox, so it's basically a kid's game. And having this kind of thing in a kid's game, I guess, I don't know, they would lose players. I don't know.
And it uses like analog horror elements. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it after this.
I mean, look at that. If that was in the game, bro.
It uses like
Look at
analog
that.
horror elements. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it after this.
Oh my god, that's such a cool idea, bro. I'm so mad that they didn't do something like this. I'm so mad, bro. Like, I don't know. People might have just been like, they thought that people would just get scared, spooked. But to me, man, this is like so unique, so interesting. I'm so sad that they didn't go this route,
And
man.
it uses like analog horror elements. And if you haven't seen
Look
it,
at
you should
that.
watch
Like,
it after
fucking
this. Oh
neck
my god,
opens.
it's amazing.
Oh,
And this assumption that
I
Columbina
fucking
would
love
be
it.
scary was not for nothing. People are always like, you just had an image in your head of what you wanted Columbina to be.
yes, I did. I did, bro. There was things that kind of backed it up. People talked about her as if she was this weird person that you can never really read, right? That you don't want to get too close because she's very unpredictable. Like, people described her like that. And in the end, she wasn't like that at all. And the explanation was, well, people just didn't really know her. I mean, fuck me, man. What could have been?
People are always like, you just had an image in your head of what you wanted Columbina to be, and now you're disappointed
could
that it
have
didn't
been?
happen. And even if that is partially why people are disappointed, there is still in-game evidence and evidence in lore-relevant YouTube videos to support what people thought about her. Let's go over some, shall we? 1. Columbina's appearance. Let's go over what we knew she looked like from our first look at her, the Winter Nights Lazzo trailer. First, she has black and dark pink hair, colors that do not suggest something delicate or gentle. However, these dark colors are paired with Columbina's winged headdress,
Yeah.
made of white feathers like dove wings. Not only does this mirror her name, Columbina, which means little dove, it also bears the appearance of a seraph, a type of angel in Christian theology.
Yeah.
Seraphs typically have 3 pairs of wings and have the role of singing the praises of their god. Considering Columbina was a Fatui harbinger, maybe the praises that she was singing were for the Tsaritsa. Columbina is also clearly wearing a black and pink outfit under her Fatui coat, something that they very evidently dropped in her final design. Finally, Columbina has her
What? I don't.
something that they very
How is that? I always thought that was like her hair.
evidently dropped in her final design. Finally, Columbina has her eyes covered, suggesting maybe an unfeeling or uncaring personality, or maybe some mysterious power that lies behind her eyes. 2. Columbina's actions. In the trailer, she is singing a soft lullaby, smiling gently while laying along the coffin of her recently deceased fellow harbinger. I don't care what
I thought that the whole thing with her eyes was gonna be that she was like blind, almost. I thought when she opened her eyes that there would be, you know how like a lot of blind characters have like gray pupils. That's what I thought was gonna be. She would literally be a blind character, which, I mean, I wouldn't mind. But in turn, the whole point of her not opening her eyes because she didn't want to look at the world, something like that. I don't remember what was said, but something along those lines. She didn't want to look upon the world or something like that.
While laying along the coffin
I don't
of
remember
her
exactly, but
deceased fellow harbinger.
something like that.
I don't care what anyone says, that's creepy. It shows that she kind of has this detached attitude regarding death, especially of her own colleague. 3. What other characters say about her. Child's voice line about his fellow Harbinger points the most to a scary character in Columbina.
The Fatui Harbingers are ranked by strength, and I have no idea why that girl is number 3. I'd test my skills with every Harbinger who ranks above me if I had the chance. But when it comes to her, something just doesn't feel right. Anyway, you should be careful around her.
Yeah, and I mean, when you say something like this, you're obviously going to be careful about, like, around the person. And I think if they stuck with this, it would have been so much better.
Even Child sounded scared to challenge her to a battle.
Child that literally wants to fight everyone. Literally wants to fight everyone.
And he loves fighting with strong opponents. Scaramouche also suggests staying away from her and implies that she is not as innocent as she seems.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation? If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
The way that I've seen people defend this is by saying that Child and Scaramouche are bad at reading people, and they didn't know her that well, so of course their assumption would be wrong.
That's bullshit.
They just knew that she was powerful. Dude, you are not getting at the reason why these voice lines are put in the game. Yes, they are useful for showing the relationships between characters and what characters think about each other, but they should also be used to provide hints and information about characters that we haven't met yet. If you put in a voice line about Columbina not being what she seems, then people are going to listen to that and assume that she's not what she seems, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think people just aren't willing to admit that Genshin has bad and inconsistent writing sometimes. 4th.
It's true. I agree with that. It's the same thing with Natlan. Natlan was described as like I said, a very different region than what it turned out to be. Columbina was in the beginning described very differently than what she actually was. And I think it's partially because the devs had a different idea for her when they were writing that, but eventually thought of a different route that they want to take with the character. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with changing, like, the purpose of a character. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, this was put like a while back, right? So I can't really blame them if they decided to change Columbina's character like midway through. But at least go back and kind of like reword what was said. If you're gonna like change a character midway, go back and change the fucking description. Yes, it's gonna be obvious, but like it's not gonna lead people to false expectations.
Her rank. Columbina was long known to be the 3rd Harbinger. It's also been known for a long time that the closer they are to number 1 in the rankings, the more powerful they are. Columbina being number 3, especially right below Dottore, who is notably unhinged and evil, suggests that she is not only similarly powerful, but also similarly devoted to her work as part of a major villain faction. I
think there is a very big jump from 4 to 2. Because I don't see a way where Arlecchino could solo Dottore. I don't just think there's a possibility. I don't think there's a way that Columbina can beat Dottore in a one-on-one. Right? There's just, I feel like there's a big jump to Dottore from a lot of characters. Right? Child wouldn't have a chance. Arlecchino wouldn't have a chance. Columbina, that is ranked right below him, wouldn't have a chance of beating him in a one-on-one. Capitano, at the state that he was in, I don't think he would be able to beat Dottore. But it's not all about strength, right? It's not all about strength, I get that. But I'm just saying, like, strength-wise, there's a very big gap between characters.
Stress this enough. Clearly, there is a wealth of evidence to support the theories that people had about Columbina. I'm tired of people pretending that it wasn't there.
I think they were more ranked on value that they provided than strength. I think value was taken a lot more into consideration than like pure like strength.
And I'm tired of people pretending that it wouldn't have worked tonally. There is literally a villain who does human experimentation. There was literally a genocide in Conria. But no. Instead, we learn that Columbina is actually a moon goddess. Okay, sure. But also she's actually just a damsel in distress, like her name suggests. She's timid and soft-spoken and gentle, and she's shy at first, but eventually opens up to you, and you are the most special person in her life, even though you've known her for maybe 2 weeks. I cannot stand how willfully obtuse people...
That's one thing that I don't like about Genshin, is that people become friends way too quick. Way too quick. It's like, I know you for an hour. Like, we went, like, I met you at a city. I came out to help you do something. And by the time we come back, we're already friends. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. And people, and Paimon is gonna treat you like, oh, you're our friend now. Like bro, I've known you for maybe 2 hours. Like, I know your name and that's it. You know what I mean? I think there needs to be a lot more, how do I say that? I don't know what the word is. There needs to be a lot more like, fuck, I don't know what the word is, man.
Weeks.
The characters need to be a lot more careful around each other, I guess. I don't know.
I cannot stand how willfully obtuse people will be about Columbina, pretending not to see the fan service that is sitting right in front of them. She hides behind the Traveler when she doesn't know how to talk to people. Aww, she likes to eat snacks. Aww, you get to feed her during Moon Prayer Night while the English VA is moaning into the mic every 2 seconds.
That's true. That's true. That moaning was kind of crazy. I remember that. I remember that.
Aww, she's so weak. She can't do anything by herself and probably would have died if the Traveler hadn't rescued her. Aww. People like to pretend that it's somehow misogynistic to point this out. Again, purposefully ignoring that Hoyo is writing
I mean, it's true. She's not wrong.
her this way, intentionally. Guys, I kid you not, she literally turns invisible for a significant portion of the Archon quest. I promise you, that is not feminist. And it's not even like the moon goddess thing makes any sense. They even come up with some last-minute reason why she covers her eyes. There was a time when I refused to look upon the world. I believed it was full of nothing but lies and falsehoods. I wished to hide my feelings, seal my heart, until I could return to my true home. Oh my god.
If she said she was blind, that would have been... it would have been better.
If this is what they originally planned...
What do you cover your eyes? Because I'm fucking blind. Alright, that makes sense.
...to do with her, which it wasn't, then she was a goddamn waste of a Harbinger slot. It is so...
I wouldn't call her a waste of a Harbinger slot. I wouldn't call her a waste, but...
clear to me that she was never their original intention for the moon goddess. Her design suffers so bad as a result of Hoyo's ineptitude. I mean, look at these colors. They don't go together at all.
I don't know, man. I kinda like her design. Except for the fucking... whatever the fuck this is. Her design is pretty. It's very, like, flowy. But like, yeah, I mean, whatever the fuck that is, yeah, it's a pretty
Oh my
design.
god, she's so
I like it.
beautiful. No, she's not. Her design is two different designs smashed together. In fact, these colors only look okay together when they purposefully give the outfit more purple tones, which they could have just as easily done in the game
I don't
model,
know, I like it.
but they didn't. Even her constellation is a mishmash of her Fatui aesthetic and her
Little dove beneath the moon.
goddess aesthetic. We have both the traditional portrait shape that all the other gods in the game get, and also her symbol of the crying dove, just shoved right in at the bottom.
I mean, I ain't got a problem with it.
I completely believe the idea
I think
that
it's
Not
alright.
Cry, or that this character
It's a constellation, who gives a fuck?
at least was rewritten at some point, because there is no indication that they had any semblance of a
Fuck, I ain't
plan
got no
for such
water.
a highly anticipated character. And the most frustrating part about all of this to me is that Hoyo actually leans into several of the things that people thought about Columbina, but only enough that it feels like they're teasing and laughing in the face of their fans, as if we read into it too much or something. In her burst, she grows wings like an angel, and these wings bear
Yeah.
resemblance to a Seelie court, both echoing the theory that she is an angel. But she's not an angel. In her character trailer, she performs a ballet, which calls to
Okay.
mind, for me, the very popular fan design in which she was a ballerina, something that the ribbons on her hands and feet might suggest.
I mean, you got Odette now, right? Which kind of represents a ballerina.
And it kills me because this trailer is beautiful.
It
The
is.
visuals and the choreography are gorgeous. The symbolism of Dottore as the pianist who's controlling the dance by playing the music. Oh my god, I love it.
It's a good
But it
trailer.
would be even better if she was a dancer or a ballerina of some kind, because she isn't. Even though that would have made a lot of sense thematically with her singing. Perhaps the strangest example of Hoyoverse leaning into the theories about Columbina is that they have the singer Aurora wearing a dress with eyes on it during the Welkin Moon concert, which suggests the biblically accurate angel thing.
I'm gonna be stupid. Hold on, let me go back. I don't.
Is that they have the singer Aurora wearing a
Hold
dress
on, let me focus.
with eyes on it during the Welkin Moon concert, which suggests the biblically accurate angel thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. This
I
last
think
one
you might be.
especially, but I cannot take it.
I
It
think
is
you might be, yeah.
frustrating because they are so close. But no, Genshin is allergic to having playable characters who are morally gray or irredeemable. This leads
Agreed. Hard fucking agree. Hardest agree of the video. Hardest agree of the video. I don't know why they avoid morally gray characters so fucking much. And that's why I feel like Dottore was a waste of character, bro. I feel like Dottore was the best villain that they made. Dottore, there is no possible way you can redeem Dottore. And he doesn't need to be redeemed. He doesn't need to be redeemed. He can stay a crazy fucking scientist that doesn't care about anyone but his own experiments. That's fine. And it's fine to have a morally gray character that has good points, that makes sense, and that makes you want to agree with him, even though he is a bad character, such as Dottore. Dottore made some very valid points during the Archon quest. I always compare Dottore to Aizen from Bleach, because I kind of see them very similarly. Yes, Aizen didn't really experiment, but on the way he did, right, with the holifications and with Ichigo, I mean Ichigo's birth, right? So they did experiment, but just not in the fucking way that Dottore did. They're both very smart, and they don't want to obey people that they deem not worthy. Aizen was in Bleach. Him and Urahara are the smartest people, like in the verse, right? And Urahara was the total opposite of him, because he would listen to what he's told, he would obey the system, he would listen to the system, do as it must be done, while Aizen wanted to break the system, right? Why would he listen to the people that are inferior to him when he is a smarter one, right? Why would he listen to the I don't remember what it was called, squad something. And you have the same thing with the Torre. Why would he bend the knee to two heavenly principles when he can be on the same level, if not above them, with his mind? Because his mind can make him above the heavenly principles. As we saw, he literally had the 3 moons with him, right? He was capable of doing that. He was capable of crafting a plan that gave him 3 moons, right? So why would he bend the knee to someone stupider than him? And he gave the traveler multiple chances to say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. What you're saying is not wrong, but I'm not gonna do it, right? Instead, the traveler went with this stupid fucking thing where, no, you're bad, I'm not doing it. Like, come on, like, use your fucking brain. At least think about what he's saying. He literally showed you, like, you can walk on the sky. He brought you up to walk on, like, on air, literally. He said, I can drag Lumine right here, right now, and make her talk to you. I can do that. Just just say the word. It's possible. But the traveler, without thinking, goes, no. Like, at least give me a chance to ask questions. Like, are you not curious about what can be done with, like, that? Like, that's one thing that I'm really pissed off. Is like, there is no curiosity from the traveler. There's literally no curiosity. It's always like, no, you're a bad guy. Be curious, ask questions. Like, now it's the time to ask questions, bro. You're standing in the presence of someone that is the smartest person in the world, arguably. And yet you just decide to not ask anything. How is this possible? What are the limitations? How far do you think you can go? What are your intentions? Like, nothing. Like, that's just, it's just crazy to me, bro. If you gave me the options, I would have sat there and asked 15 fucking questions. But no, he's a bad guy. We must not work with him because he's a bad guy. Like, this whole game, Genshin as a whole, is a game of, I need you as much as you need me, so let's make a compromise. I help you, you help me in return. Like, and then when you have the biggest opportunity yet to learn stuff, to ask stuff, you just don't do it. Like, it's
To having playable characters who are morally gray or irredeemable. This leads to what I lovingly refer to as the Genshin villain problem.
Agreed.
Other popular gacha games, like Cookie Run Kingdom, literally...
And what the fuck? And now you don't have a villain. Genshin does not have a villain right now. And if you say Renova, sure, for now she's a villain. How much you want to bet? In 7.3, Renova is going to get redeemed. It's going to be that she never wanted to do these things. She had to keep the cycle going and shit. Like, she never enjoyed what happened in Carnia. She never wanted to do this. She is a hurt person. She is surrounded by death. She is death itself, and that weighs on her heavy. How much you want to bet it's going to be some bullshit like that? Like, at this point, the only villain are the heavenly principles, which at this point I don't even think they even exist anymore at this point. So you had the Torre, which is without a doubt in my mind the best villain this game had, and you just decide to do nothing with him. You decide to make him relevant for a bit and do nothing. Dottore would have moved the plot so much if they didn't kill him off. He would move the plot so much more than he already did. But it is what it is, man. I don't know. I don't know, bro. That was the point where I kind of dropped Genshin. I don't log into Genshin every day as I used to. And using Dottore in a way kind of made me like fall out of the game a little bit. Because I thought Dottore was going to be a lot bigger of a character in the long run, but it is what it is.
We have morally reprehensible or canonically dead characters that are playable. What
The
is
white-haired
stopping
woman?
Genshin from
Which
making
one?
their
There's a lot of them.
stay villains, but also become playable? Columbina
Agreed.
making their villains stay villains, but also become playable.
Also, I think Dottore is too strong to be playable, but
Columbina is just an embodiment of a
Columbina?
bigger problem in Genshin.
Red hair streaks?
They do not want
you mean her?
to have any characters who have questionable morals become playable. Most of the time, this ends up going in two ways. The first is that the character is redeemed and then becomes friends with the Traveler before becoming playable. This is what has happened to every playable Harbinger thus far. Tartaglia fights anything that moves, but he respects the Traveler even though they have different motives and values. He only ever wants a friendly spar with them. Scaramouche has no one else who understands his past and is connected with the Traveler in that way. Arlecchino is a ruthless woman who is grooming children to be a part of the Fatui, but it turns out that the House of the Hearth is a lot less sinister under her rule, so that's okay too, I
mean,
guess.
not wrong.
In Columbina,
This battle was never about fate. It's about friends, family, and the home you
This is the
stole.
most of
I'm a gag again. Because that, bro, when she said that, I wanted to Alt F4 the whole fucking quest. I wanted to Alt F4 the entire fucking quest when she said that bullshit. It's about friends. It's about friendship. It's about home and family. Alright, Vin Diesel.
obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
the second way
Fucking bullshit, bro.
it goes is that the character cannot be redeemed and is therefore killed off so that they
Fucking
won't become
powers of
playable.
friendship.
This is what happened to Signora way back in Inazuma, and most recently it happened to Dottore. This was honestly shocking to me, especially considering how much of a fan favorite Dottore is. Let me be clear, Dottore is a horrible person and he should
True.
not be redeemed.
There is no possible way to redeem the
We
Torah.
should be able to understand his motives without forgiving him for what he has done. He has
Agreed.
imposed so much pain on so many people in the game, and his morals are extremely corrupt, but he's still very, very interesting, and you can sometimes almost understand where he's coming from while still not
Agreed.
condoning his methods.
Agree. 100% agree. Everything she said here is correct. And 100% like valid.
Which I must stress is what makes a well-written villain. People love this guy's character. But now, he can never become playable because as of right now, he's dead.
I don't need him to be playable. I just need him to be there to be a villain. Because I like a smart villain. That's why I love the Grand Architect from Wuthering Waves. The Grand Architect is a disgusting person, right? Experimenting on people. Like a horrible, horrible person. But they're smart. They're very fucking smart. They use their brain more than anyone. They're always a step ahead. They're always plotting something. They're always planning something. You never know what to expect from the Grand Architect. And that's why I fucking love them so much. Even though they're villains and they're meant to be hated. I just love a smart person that knows how to use their brain. And that's what the Torah was. A crazy maniac that had a brain and that used it. And that literally, without fighting you, without raising a sword, he beat you with his brain. without ever throwing a punch. Like, what more can you ask than that? He outsmarted you every way possible. And then he got beat by friendship. Whole thing light up whole in-game calamity? What do you mean? I'm
Little
confused.
did you know, though, that there is a secret third option, which is what they did to Capitano, a combo of options 1 and 2. They redeemed him, and then still killed him off anyway. What a strange decision that was.
What do you mean redeemed? Capitano never really needed to be redeemed. I don't understand this part.
Again, for a character that was extremely highly anticipated, they just threw in all this tragic backstory for him at the very end of the Natlan Archon quest, and then he fucking died right after.
Okay. I don't think he was redeemed. There was really nothing to redeem him for. He carried the souls of Condrians in his heart. So he brought them to ley lines. I mean, not the ley lines, but to the Night Kingdom, right? He never really got redeemed. He got a conclusion for himself. He was a Khaenri'ah fucking warrior, right? That survived and carried the souls of Khaenri'ahns to the Night Kingdom so they can finally rest. If I'm remembering correctly. There was nothing to be redeemed for. He never did anything bad. Not to my knowledge.
After that, so none of it mattered at all. It's like they don't understand their own visual cues. A perfect example of this to me is Escoffier. Maybe, again, this might be just me, but even she gave me creepy vibes in the silhouette teaser from the live stream where they revealed upcoming characters for 2025. She has this hair that sticks out, the shape of which largely resembles horns and conveys a sort of like wildness of her
It's just messy hair.
personality. She has a devil's pitchfork tail that's positioned up where we can clearly see it.
Okay.
And she's holding a sharp knife up. Like, she looked psycho to me. And I was intrigued.
And she's got a chef hat on top of her head. Bro wants the story to be exceptional as he deserves and should, honestly. I mean, bro, I just want good villains. I mean, that's why I'm in love with Bleach. Like Aizen, bro. Like, I literally have him as my profile picture on Twitch. Like, man, I just like a smart villain. You know? Doesn't even have to be smart. You take Pain from Naruto. See you later, bro. You take Pain from Naruto, right? Like, you kind of connect with the villain because they make sense. They're not necessarily a good person, but their reasonings for doing things make sense. And that's why they say you either die a hero or see yourself, or live enough to see yourself become a villain. Right? Because villains are very misunderstood. They have a good reason for doing things, they just do them in a bad way. Right? And they don't need to be redeemed. They can stay that way. But a lot of them have good reasons and make you want to side with them even though they're a villain. You know what I mean? That's what I really like. And when it's written well, it's some of like the best thing. Like I fucking love it.
She looked
when a villain
psycho
is
to
written
me. And
well.
I was intrigued. And at least that would have been interesting and different. But no, not only is this design ass, but it's
a pretty design, but I think for a chef, it's a little bit, doesn't really make sense to fucking, what is this, lingering or whatever, like it just, if this was like here, like a, what's it called? The thing that you put when you cook. I forgot what it's called, but it was like, if it was like the here, it would have been a lot better.
also incredibly
She would look like a chef a lot more.
misleading. She's just kind of a Tsundere, who's very particular about her food. I don't understand why they're like this, guys. One of my favorite comments that I've seen about this that just perfectly embodies my feelings on the matter is this from the unofficial Genshin subreddit. They're allergic to morally gray, redeemable, or just bad characters because they don't know how to write anything that isn't a shitty isekai where the main character wins using the power of friendship and his harem.
I mean, yes, they are allergic to morally gray and redeemable and bad characters. That's true. I think they know how to write a good story. I just think they kind of lose it sometimes because they want the character to be loved, but at the same time they want the character to connect with the traveler, but some characters really don't have a connection, so sometimes it kind of feels very forced. You know what I mean? And they don't make villains playable because I don't fucking know why, but it is what it is, man. Maybe one day we get Dottore or Capitano playable. Maybe even Heavenly Principles, the Shades, probably not, but a man can dream.
Oh, speaking of harem...
Misogynistic fan service. Okay.
It's an anime gacha game. You have to expect fan service. Okay, I know that. But Genshin used to be different from other games in its genre.
Every game has
and
fan
I mean
service.
That genuinely.
I mean,
there used to
gacha
be a
game.
much better ratio of female to male 5-star characters than many other gacha games because so many gacha games are targeted at male audiences who aren't perceived as being interested in the male characters.
I like good-looking male characters. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I'll pull a hot woman, but I'll also say when a guy is a good-looking. I ain't got a problem with that.
And there were sexy character outfits, especially on the women.
Like, Varka is a good-looking dude, don't get me wrong, bro. I didn't pull him because his kid is dog shit.
Lots of detached sleeves, short skirts, also known as the coochie flap, thigh-high socks.
The what?
Sleeves, short skirts, also known as the coochie flap.
Okay.
High socks or boots, but they were nowhere near as bad as they are now. These women are nearly naked now.
Lauma, bro, she kinda bad.
And not only does that make me mad and uncomfortable from a standpoint of being a woman who feels objectified just by looking at these designs, but also from a character design standpoint. I have quite a bit to say about the sharp drop-off in not only the quality of the Genshin character designs, but also in the tastefulness.
They will never make a woman as good looking as Arlecchino. I don't give a fuck. You can call me whatever you want. A fully dressed woman is a lot sexier than a woman with a fucking big ass fucking breasts and wearing nothing. Like, fully dressed woman is a lot sexier than whatever the fuck Perez
Quality of
says.
the Genshin character designs, but also in the tastefulness of them.
I don't care.
To show you what I mean, we can.
I said the same thing about Zani in Wuwa. Zani is one of the sexiest characters. I don't care. And I don't care. Is Sui Sui good looking? Sorry. Is Sheen good looking? Oh, god damn, she is. Is Zani good looking? Bro. Hey. Don't get me started.
Designs, but also in the tastefulness of them. To show you what I
Like, a character doesn't have to be half naked to attract people. You know what I mean?
we can talk about some early Genshin designs to compare them to more recent ones. I think it's important to discuss the physical elements of these characters first before we discuss the fan service elements of their presentation, writing, and personalities, because the physical appearance is the most obvious element, but I promise we will get to the other stuff in due time.
It's the same thing that if you see those TikToks where a woman is like fully dressed, like lipstick, makeup, looking badass and everything, right? With a red dress. And a guy is like, yeah, cool, you're beautiful. And then it cuts to a woman with messy fucking hair, wearing some torn up shirt, literally just walking around the house, and the guy goes crazy. Yeah, it's literally that. Like, when a woman is just natural it's just it just triggers something. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's a woman doesn't always need to reveal her thighs or her chest for a man to get attracted. A woman can be fully covered up and it's gonna cause the same reaction.
Appearance is the most obvious
But
element.
some people don't
but
get
I promise
that.
we will get to the other stuff in due time.
Some people don't
Also,
get
keep
that. A lot of people think that they gotta be half naked. It's not true, bro. Definitely not true.
in mind that I'm only going
Definitely
to be
not
talking
true.
about female characters because most of
But,
the
I
time,
mean, to each
the male
their own.
characters
I'm
are
speaking for
almost
myself.
always covered from chin to toe now, aka the fan service is not equal opportunity. One of the first characters I'll mention is Lisa, one of the very first
She bad as fuck. I mean, let's be real. Come on, bro. Lisa was the first character that I was like, God damn.
anime fan servicey characters that we're introduced to in the game. She teases the traveler, she calls them cutie, and she's averse to doing any sort of work. Her character design communicates so much about her though, nonetheless. Her hairstyle, which is very loose and almost looks like it's falling out on one side, shows us that lazy element of her personality. Her purple, black, and gold color palette obviously communicates her
Beautiful
element
character.
of electro, but also a sense of importance, luxuriousness, and magic. Her classically styled witch hat also conveys the latter, of course. Yai Miko is similar to Lisa in terms of teasing personality, although Miko can get a bit more cruel and self-indulgent with it. She has a sharper eye shape than Lisa's gentle round eyes to indicate this part of her personality. Her outfit is also a stylized version of a traditional Japanese shrine maiden outfit, giving her the required amount of gacha game sexiness while also showing her spiritual importance in Inazuma. Her design being more complicated than the other shrine maidens also signifies that her role is the most important of all of them. Her hair is the color of a sakura blossom, and she has cherry blossom motifs in her clothing, again emphasizing her Japanese inspiration, but also her connection to the sacred sakura of Inazuma, which is deeply connected with her element of electro. Xinyan is one of my favorite Liyuan character designs because it combines traditional elements of Chinese clothing styles with Xinyan's rock aesthetic. So you
I don't know shit about clothing, so I'm just listening right now. I ain't really got shit to say. I don't know nothing about clothing.
What she represents. Xinyan wears lots of dark colors, spikes
I don't know if this represents Chinese well. I don't fucking know.
and fishnet, features common in punk or alternative clothing styles. All of this is accented by red and orange, obviously representing her pyro vision,
I'm not a
but
designer.
also her passionate and fiery personality. Her hair even looks like it's glowing from the inside, which I always thought was such a cool detail.
Oh, these things?
However, Xinyan also has some very subtle nods to her Liyuan culture. So while she mostly represents a counterculture in Liyue, she still maintains cohesion with the other character designs in her region. The last of the older character designs that I'm going to touch on is Navia's, probably my favorite Fontanian design.
Yup. Navia is one of the prettiest characters that they've ever released. Not just in Fontaine. She is one of the prettiest characters, period. And that's why I say Fontaine is never gonna be topped. Because Fontaine had the best characters, the best story. Like, Fontaine was the peak. It's never gonna get it. Like, it's never gonna hit the same.
Personally, this design is basically a sluttier version of a traditional French aristocratic gown, but
I'm gonna say sluttier. I think her design is just beautiful. I don't see the reason to say it's sluttier than anything. It's a beautiful design.
it still covers most of her body. Navia's design exudes wealth. It is full of ruffles and jewels. She has these big, billowy curls. She's got this big hat decorated with feathers. She brings along a frilly parasol. She also maintains connection to her hometown of Poisson with these ship wheels on her hips, as well as the cannon theming of her elemental burst. Navia is also a very cheerful character, which her yellow color palette communicates. And she also has got these cute sparkles in her eyes that show that. As you can see, these designs are not only pretty tasteful in terms of gacha character designs, but they also do their job. They communicate information about the character, even if you knew nothing about them to begin with. This is what makes a good character design, and it is ironically what many character designs in modern Genshin fail to do. Not only that, but they also get more and more boring and more insulting as time goes on. So let's take a walk through them, shall we? This ought to be fun. One of my least favorite recent characters is Seat Lally. Again, I know, a fan favorite, but I'm sorry, I do not like her.
I'm not a fan of her personality, or, well, the way she acts. But I don't mind her, like, looks. Like,
Her design certainly isn't the most offensive of the Notlon ones. I just find her annoying. I do think her English VA is very good at their job, and that they do a great job with Seat Lally's voice. But I really just don't like the character's writing.
Yeah, I can agree with writing, but I think the design is fine. I don't have anything bad to say about the design. Her character writing is a different thing.
We will talk about that in a bit. One of the things I dislike about her design, though, is this goddamn leotard that she's wearing. This girl is literally wearing a thong. This sweater thing would go right up her butt crack. I cannot stand stuff like this. Also, side note real quick,
okay, I can see
have
that.
to pause to talk about the state of Genshin character trailers. Can we talk about how these videos used to be actual showcases of the characters' combat abilities with like little elements of story sprinkled in? Ones that strike this balance well, in my opinion, are Nahida's trailer, Farina's trailer, and Arlecchino's trailer.
Okay.
But now, character trailers are either, 1, headache-inducing fan edits with these wildly inappropriate aesthetic choices, like Nefer's trailer or Seat Lally's, or 2, music videos that make me feel like I'm going to implode from cringing, like Shilonen or Mawika's trailer. At
Kinda true.
most, these ones show the elemental burst animation. It doesn't tell you anything about what it's like to actually play the character in the video game that I'm supposed to be pulling for them in.
I think if they want to go this route that they have been going, I think they might as well do what Wuthering Waves does and just make a combat trailer and just a regular trailer. I think Wuthering Waves does it great. They have a combat trailer which literally shows you the character's kit, basically, their moveset, and they have this regular trailer, you know.
Tell me how that's supposed to give me a good impression of these characters. Anyway, back to Seat Lally's outfit. It's the same thing with...
But I guess they just kind of changed the way they do trailers. It's nothing wrong with that. They want to improve them. I haven't really been keeping up with recent trailers, but the last one that comes to mind is like Flynn's, which is fucking crazy, right? But yeah, I agree that they could do like a different, like just combat, just to showcase how a character moves and stuff.
With Mawika. Her design features a zipper that goes all the way around between her...
Yeah, that, bro, everyone told me that would be very, very uncomfortable. Like if you wore that in real life, you would literally want to die. That's what I've been told.
Her legs up to her back. That can't be comfortable, right?
Nah, I was told that would literally be like dying from multiple people. That you would never ever want to do that.
Especially riding a motorcycle.
I know that's true.
And also, what
how
exactly
true that
does
is, but
this design communicate
I believe
about Mawika other than being a biker? Yeah, I guess she's got sun imagery to represent her Archon hood, but to me, her hair is the only thing about her design that gives me Pyro Archon. But then, you know, all of
her
that
eyes as
still
well
goes away when she fights and her hair lights up. And then we have Veresa. I was really excited about this design when I saw the silhouette in that same teaser we were talking about earlier. Oh my gosh, a girl that's a cow. Oh my god, that's gonna be so cute. I love these braids and the big horns. I mean, I wonder what kind of color palette she'll have. Maybe like browns and greens, something earthy because she's a farm animal. Oh. Yeah. I mean, I guess that works too. Just kidding. I hate this design. One of my least favorites in the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of the design, but I don't really care, to be honest.
I just like, what was the point, dude? Why is she so like kawaii themed? She's got hearts and bows everywhere. She wears leg warmers and a cardigan. The skirt is pointless because it's too short to cover her ass.
Don't like wrestlers wear like short skirts like that? I know tennis players have those very short fucking skirts, but I don't know about wrestlers. I'm not like into wrestling at all. I don't know how accurate that short skirt is.
a cardigan.
Um,
The skirt is
but
pointless
I know about
because
tennis
it's
players
too
that
short to cover
they
her
got
ass.
very short
You
fucking
expect me to
skirts
believe that this
for
is
some
a
reason.
lucha libre fighter? I know that luchadoras often dress
Oh, never mind.
in similar silhouettes to Veresa's outfit, but they didn't incorporate any elements of the culture that Veresa is inspired by, or the one that her name comes from. There are plenty of lucha libre fighters who incorporate elements of their
Fucking
culture
Rey
into their
Mysterio.
costumes. They could have gotten really creative with it, but it's not like it even matters because we never even get to see her fight like a luchadora in the game. It's all just the food bullshit and falling on her ass all the time. It's especially frustrating because the animators have been getting really creative with the normal attack animations lately. They could have gone crazy with her and made her do insane moves, something like this.
Well, the combat kind of doesn't allow it, right? The combat is very simple, so you have a basic 5 attack pattern, and then you have a heavy attack. Maybe if there was like a heavy attack, she would like spin and do something, but I feel like the whole combat system restricts these kind of movements, right? Where a character would like flash one way, like hit you, go up, fucking smack you around, lift you up, fucking beat the fuck out of you midair, right? Like I feel like combat really restricts what they can do with like movesets.
They could have gone crazy with her and made her do insane.
Because like again, in Wuthering Waves, you got fucking characters blitzing around everywhere. I don't even know what is going on my screen. I just see a bunch of fucking effects. Character fucking flashes into the air, fucking smacks you down and shit. Like, I don't know. It works because of the combat, you know? In Genshin, it wouldn't work because the combat is reaction based. So,
insane moves, something like this. Like I said earlier, I was interested too in Escoffier's design based on the silhouette, but I was also very disappointed with this reveal. Not only does this outfit make no sense with regards to breaking up any colors or with this weird heart
I like the colors.
theming that she has, similar to Veresa. Again, I don't know why they keep doing this, but her outfit is literally just the sexy chef Halloween costume.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
She's wearing an apron with nothing underneath it. Not only is that insulting, but it's boring and it's lazy. You guys literally couldn't bother to design a shirt for her to wear under this apron. They would just rather...
Also, as a chef, that's like one thing that you don't want to fucking do. Like, if you're in the kitchen and fucking oil like splatters around, yo, good luck to your hands, man. Yo, that's why a lot of chefs either wear like longer t-shirts or wear like full like long sleeves, because that oil will fucking start to go everywhere at some point. I know, bro. I've been in the kitchen.
Underneath it. Not only is that insulting,
I burned
but
my
it's
hands
boring
multiple
and it's
times.
lazy. You guys literally could
Having this in the kitchen, yo, good luck.
bother
Yo.
to design a
Yo,
shirt
good
for
luck,
her to
man.
wear under this apron. They would just rather put more effort into the detailing on her fucking stockings than design her a shirt. Skirk makes me mad in a similar way because they literally took an already very revealing outfit and made her more naked when she made the transition from NPC to playable character.
I mean, half of her body isn't really skin, to be fair. Like, this is literally like not even skin. Right? I mean, she had broken bones and shit, and like, didn't she literally like lose limbs at one point? So I don't even think you can classify this as skin at that point.
Lauma is one of the ones that makes me the saddest because I actually really love the way that she's written in the narrative. Her voice acting is so beautiful and gentle, and I find her quiet strength to be really, really compelling. It just sucks because she would be perfect if she wasn't almost naked. For Lauma, I don't feel hatred like I do for Veresa because Lauma has good writing to make up for her design. I just feel bad for her. Like, oh my god, you poor woman. You're probably so cold and uncomfortable all the time. Actually, she's named after a creature from Baltic folklore that's traditionally depicted as a nude woman. That is literally just another excuse to make a woman with large breasts walk around with a single piece of cloth covering her ass. You can't convince me that Lauma isn't meant to be sexualized by the game when she makes this face while bound by Rayrir. To be sexualized by the game when she makes this face while bound by Rayrir.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing with this. They knew what they were doing.
Finally, we have Nefer. Now, I don't really hate this design necessarily. I actually really like the top of it. Her hairstyle is really cool. I love the cape and the vibrant gold and green colors. But it's just another design in this long pattern of just giving up on the legs of these female characters.
I agree with that. I feel like if her legs had a little like something, it would have been a lot cool. Like even like a tattoo going around the leg or something, like anything. Like it's very empty, you know.
Designs. Not only does this white skirt completely
But she's not the only one, you know, so
blend into her insanely pale skin, but they also make no effort to give her some socks or stockings to balance out these colors or make the design more interesting. Like, I really love this fan design that not only gives her a darker skirt, but
oh, I like this, like snake scales. I like that. Oh, I really, really like that. I really, really like that. Like snake scales.
Like, I really love this fan design that not only gives her a darker skirt, but also some snake pattern thigh-high socks.
Yeah, I like that.
I really
like
wish
that
they had leaned into her snake theming more, as a side note. But
yeah, that's what I said. If there was like a snake going around here, like that would have been nice, you know. But then again, you already have a snake with Baiju, but still.
Glass, it's always the same. A super detailed design from the waist up and absolutely nothing except maybe a thigh garter on the legs. Again, Columbina falls into this too. She wears this super detailed tiny dress, one that's so short it makes her legs look obscenely long like a spider. And then she doesn't even wear shoes, just these fuck-ass water orb heels because they couldn't bear to let a woman walk flat on her feet. And the way that these women are drawn sometimes is so stupid too. Even the character designs that I consider to be better than these suffer from the fan service. Even though I wish her skirt was longer to add some variety to the designs, I really like Mizuki's design, but she literally shows her butt to the camera during her burst and in her official art.
I agree that these designs get overused, especially the short skirt designs. Like, you can tell me that this design isn't overused when like 50% of the female cast has some bullshit like this, you know, like a skirt and then bare legs, or a skirt and then like high socks. I think this design, and warranted, Genshin is 6 years old, there's like over 150 characters, but you can't tell me that this type of design isn't overused. This like type of design. Fuck, even Hu Tao has some bullshit like this, bro. Yoimiya, Navia, Chlorand, fucking Mualani probably, and like, it's overused a little bit.
But she literally shows her butt to the camera during her burst and in her official art. In fact, Hoyo only draws these characters in impossible poses more and more for the sake of making them more goonable. Literally, Mizuki is posed so you can somehow see her underboob and butt at the same time. They do
I don't see it.
posed so you can somehow see her underboob and butt at the same time. They do the same thing with Mawika. Her back is arched so heavily just so that they can display both her cleavage and her ass. Veresa's also the same, plus she's making that face like, oh, you caught me, and I have food all over my face. Oh no! Oh my god. I hated saying that out loud. And see, Lali is literally squishing her chest.
Okay, I mean, this is just fucking crazy. I mean, you can't tell me that this isn't sexualized. Like, let's be real. You look at this and you tell me this isn't fucking sexualized. Her plushie is literally like like squishing her breasts. Like, fuck me, man. God fucking damn, bro. They know what they're
I
doing.
hated saying that out loud. And see, Lolly is literally
You can't tell me that this was accidental. Like, they wanted her plushie to squish her boobs, bro.
squishing
That was the idea.
her chest so heavily with what? A stuffed animal? A pillow? That is not how this part of the body works. This is only one of the anime fan
know, I
service
can't
tropes
confirm.
that Genshin has increasingly leaned into over time. As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters
Tsundere.
that fit the tsundere character.
True.
Oh my god. It's over, guys. We only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type. Oh my god. I can't fucking
Yeah,
say
I know how it is.
As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type, which I personally find annoying. See, Lolly and Sandrone are the biggest examples of this, but I would also argue that Escoffier falls into this trope sometimes. Somewhat related is the increasing number of characters who have very obvious crushes or similar devotion to the Traveler, all of whom seem to be women, ironically. Ayaka was a big one early on, but since then we've had Mizuki blushing
I mean, that's the same thing in Wuthering Waves as well, isn't it? Where every time there's a new female character, and like 30 minutes in, I always make a joke that it's wife number 59 or some shit. You know what I mean? Wife number 60. You know, because every fucking time, Rover seems to attract women. You know, and I jokingly say that when Rover was doing shit like a thousands of years ago, he wrote a rule that every woman will fall for him. Literally, you know, it's a written rule in the books. So it's a same thing over there. So I mean,
ironically, Ayaka
they want characters to have their waifus, man, and like you know who the games are mainly for, right? The people that are gonna get attached to these characters, and it's fine. But once they consider them real is when it really becomes like an issue, right? Because there's a fine line with having a character in the game that you say like wife, right? I say that about Carlotta, right? Whenever I see Carlotta, I always say wife. Shorekeeper as well. Whenever Shorekeeper is on the screen, I always say wife, right? But when you consider it real and bring it into reality, when your happiness and your whole fucking feelings and everything are tied to an in-game character, that's when it becomes a very big fucking problem. That's when it becomes parasocial. When you go to voice actors and you harass the voice actors because you see them as the character, then it really becomes a big problem. And there's a fine line between having waifus and being like mentally ill. You know, like there's a fine line, but once you exceed the line of just having waifus in a game, once it becomes real to you, that's when it turns into a mental illness. And there's more and more of these kind of cases, unfortunately. There's more and more people considering it to be their reality.
or similar
And there's a lot of causes for it, but I'm not going to get into it now. Like, it would take an hour.
devotion to the Traveler, all of whom seem to be women, ironically. Ayaka was a big one early on, but since then we've had Mizuki blushing around the Traveler, and the game purposefully putting her into situations in which we're meant to, like, cutely embarrass her. It's clearly meant to have a teasing romantic tone to it. Similarly, Seat Lolly has a big crush on the Traveler, made evident by being portrayed like this
True.
in her Valentine's Day art, and by all the times the game has given us very convenient plot-related ways to read each other's thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Sandrone thing, it's like, do you really have to hold her hand, right? How long are you gonna be together, right? Did you really have to do that? You know, I mean, it's obvious what they want to imply, right? And it's fine to have a character like that. Just don't, like, overdo it. Like, not every character needs to be like that, right? Not every character needs to be obsessed with the Traveler, but it's fine to have a few. Citlali being the main one, right?
Game has given us very convenient plot-related ways
It's
to
fine.
read each other's thoughts. Dude, this shit is painful to play. And then most recently we've had Columbina, who, again, has only one true friend in the Traveler, and she cutely hides behind you, and you get to feed her. Again, these are all very romance-coded behaviors. The Traveler is literally represented as her savior and dance partner in her trailer. It is a pattern at this point. Can we please
That's
let
true.
women have more interesting relationships with the main character than being their shy waifu all the time? And again, this fan service is never equal opportunity.
When she says interesting relationship, I always think of Yoimiya. Right? Because it's obvious that Yoimiya sees you as a buddy, right? A friend, literally. Her behavior is like that, her whole expressions, her whole personality. And she really gives off like a friend vibe, you know? Like a really good friend. Yoimiya is a character that you can see that you're probably going to be very good friends with. She doesn't have these romantic behaviors like she said, right? And then you got fucking Citlali at the other hand, which I like I said, it's fine. Just don't overdo it. Not every character needs to have what Citlali's doing, right? And with Columbina, I don't think it's that bad. I think with Columbina is more of a savior kind of thing, where she kind of sees you, I would say like a knight in shining armor, right? And I fucking rolled it back because I clicked 0. Fuck me, man. She acts with you like the savior, you know, instead of like a romantic interest, in my opinion.
Again, these are all very romance-coded behaviors. The Traveler is literally represented as her savior and dance
I think
partner
it's
in
more
her
of a
trailer.
savior
It is
thing than like a
pattern at this
romance.
point. Can we please let women have more interesting relationships with the main character than being their shy waifu all the time? And again, this fan service is never equal opportunity. The male characters never get to have interactions or relationships like this with the player. Why not? We also have character-specific tropes.
I mean, kinda. She's kinda right. You got fucking Lenny, you got Toma, you got Shao, right? Shao is a big one. But Shao is like 5 years old. Any new characters that were like love interests, as I want to call them? Recently? I don't know, bro. I mean, she is right in a way where a lot of like female love interests are fairly old characters, because I can really think of a newer one that like, I mean Lenny, I guess, but that was fucking Fontaine.
Relationships like this with the player. Why not? We also have character-specific tropes. Veresa, I'm getting to you now. She was tailor-made for the feeder fetish. I kid you not, in one of her trailers, they animate food going into her stomach, and her stomach, like, jiggles and stuff, and oh my god. It is genuinely one of the most sickening and uncomfortable things I have seen coming out of this company. Her entire thing is eating. They animate food going into her stomach, and her stomach, like, jiggles and stuff, and oh my god. It is.
Am I weird for not seeing anything wrong with that? I mean, it's not the first time that it's been like shown or animated. I mean, not in Genshin, but like in general. I've seen it multiple times. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Am I crazy?
Genuinely one of the most sickening and uncomfortable things I have seen.
I think sickening is a little bit of a harsh word.
coming out of this company. Her entire thing is eating comically large amounts of food. She has nothing else.
Isn't she a competitive eater? I mean, that's an actual thing. You got fucking Matt Stones, you got Beer Meets Food, right? All people that eat absurdly huge amounts of food. But like they don't eat for like days, you know?
Is eating comically large amounts of food.
If you're a competitive eater, like
nothing
that's
else that matters to her
that's
character,
fine.
to her personality, or anything about her. It's not
And she's like a wrestler, right? So naturally she is gonna eat a lot of food. Because wrestlers rely a lot of their strength. I would assume I never did wrestling,
like this
but
would necessarily be bad on
it's a very
own,
physical sport.
But guys, she is literally a cow. This character is extremely insulting, and I hate her. And that's not even mentioning how she literally fights by falling on her ass. When you are playing her, she will fall and her ass will be facing the camera for multiple seconds before she gets up. And your eye is naturally drawn there because of her bright pink tail against her black skirt. And then when she gets up, she'll like dust herself off and be like, "Owie, that hurt."
I don't know. I looked at the enemy HP. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a Ressa, but I mean that angle is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
When she gets up, she'll like dust herself off and be like, "Owie, that hurt. Shut up." And then we've got Nefer and her whole like.
I mean, if you really want to nitpick, like a lot of characters have those weird fucking poses, right? A lot of characters do some weird ass shit when they're like twist and twirl and do all that like sexy things. So, I mean, it is what it is. I won't really call it like a provoking thing. I don't care. I don't know. I just don't give a fuck about it.
Hurt. Shut up. And then we've got Nefer and her whole like clones thing. And the clones are like her servants, and she poses with them in sexually charged ways. Like she's holding this one's face, and this one is laying in her lap. Like,
I mean, it's obvious what they wanted to do with that, right? It's obvious what the goal was. But yeah, I mean, does she even use her clones other than the fucking trailer? Does she? Her skill, like, but in her skill, she like dashes a little bit forward. She doesn't really leave a clone behind. I don't think clones have any kind of relevancy other than the fucking trailer.
like she's holding this one's face.
I mean, it's obvious. I mean,
And this one is laying in her lap. Like, I don't
it's obvious who the character was made for.
have to like spell out the way that this is incredibly fetishistic, right? I mean, Nefer literally does the stripper crawl across the table toward the camera in her trailer. She
The stripper crawl.
literally does the stripper crawl across the table toward the camera in her trailer. She
I don't know if the name of it really is a stripper crawl.
literally does the stripper crawl across the table
But like it's a hot thing,
toward
yeah.
the camera in her trailer. She's meant to give femdom, and
Femdom? I mean, kinda, yeah. Kinda. I can see that. Yeah.
crawl across the table toward the camera in her trailer. She's meant to give femdom, and I mean, like the clones basically serve no purpose.
I can see the femdom thing. Yeah. I can see that. Not really my first thought when I see it, but you think of it like, yeah.
Trailer.
little bit.
She's meant to give femdom, and I mean, like the clones basically serve
Like a dominant person. Yeah, I can see that.
no purpose to her theming as a character. I think they could have taken them out of her whole thing, and it wouldn't have made a difference to her kit or to her gimmicks.
Yeah, literally her clones do nothing. They have no like gameplay relevancy.
They literally only did it because they knew people would drool
I mean, they're there when she like heavy attacks.
over it. Editing Aurelia here. In the process of making this video, Linnea has been released, and I just have to interject to say, what the fuck were they thinking with this character? I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think she's adorable and in fact recognizes her for the creepy freak that she is.
Damn. I only got Linnea because I needed her for a Lunar Crystallized team.
First of all, she clearly has absolutely no respect for living things that are not traditionally human. She keeps asking to touch and pet the Melusines as if they are not whole people. It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to look like children. Having an adult
To me, they more look like fucking plushies.
It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to
They literally look like fucking plushies.
look like children.
Might be a little bit of a reach, but I don't know.
Having an adult character who is high-key obsessed with them and can't treat them as the people they are was a fucked up move on Hoyo's part.
Okay. Okay. No, listen. I'm all for reaching, but I think that might be a little bit too big of a reach. I'm not gonna
Made
lie.
to look like children. Having an adult character who is high-key obsessed with them and can't treat
I think that might be too big of a reach for me to agree with.
them as the people they are was
I'm
a
all for
fucked
like
up move
reaching
on
and shit, but
Hoyo's
that
part.
might be a little
They
bit.
literally make a point to emphasize the humanity of the Melusines and how they had to fight to be accepted in Fontanian society. And now we have a playable character who we are supposed to think is cute, harassing them and treating them as though they are pets. It's disgusting. Her trailer is sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who, again, looks like a child.
Okay. Alright.
Fantasizes about being rubbed up
Oh
on
fuck. Okay. I mean,
by Siegeween.
yeah, I think this might be a little bit of a reach in my book.
Sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who
I mean, if like it's fine to reach at some point. You might be reaching a little bit too far. Might be reaching down a fucking well a little bit. If that's what you get from this, I guess. But to be honest, I don't know nothing about Linnea. I didn't even play her quest. I literally know nothing of her. But I mean, it might be a little bit of a reach. I don't know.
who, again, looks like a child, and Kirida, along with other Melusines and Nekomata. It reads as extremely fetishistic to me, which is a problem when the people that she's fantasizing about look like children. She chases these people around and doesn't seem to let up after being told multiple times to back off. There are multiple promotional materials in which she asks to touch a Melusine, which makes me think that it's happened more than once or twice. I mean, at least her character quest wasn't as bad. I won't spoil it, obviously.
Okay, I agreed with a lot of things in this video, but I think this might be a little bit too big of a reach. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the things said in this video were warranted, and I did agree with, but I think this one might be a little bit too big of a reach, to be honest.
Even once or twice. I mean, at least her character quest wasn't as bad. I won't spoil it, obviously, because I said I wouldn't talk about content past Luna 5, but I still don't find this character appealing or compelling at all, as I feel like I've made it very clear. She doesn't even have an interesting design to make up for it. She's literally just a copy-paste of Charlotte.
Oh. Yeah. Kinda. Not gonna lie, I see it. I see the resemblance, and that's why I say this fucking style with the short skirt is getting a little bit overused, because, I mean, it's very fucking similar. I don't know.
Even the wish art is the same. I haven't
I mean, the pose is very similar. Yeah, I can see
I
it.
haven't felt such a burning hatred for a character in a long time. Hoyoverse had the opportunity to portray Linnea as a character with a disability that made it difficult for her to fit in, because that was largely the reason the myth of changelings arose in the first place. The fairies were thought to swap their fae children for a human child, which was how several mythologies explained neurodivergence in children. Instead of portraying a really heartwarming story about a character who's autism coded, we instead get a freak who can't stop harassing anyone with non-human features.
Okay. I feel like the hate for Linnea is speaking a little bit too much. Not gonna lie. I don't like some characters in this game, obviously. I'm not gonna like everyone. But I feel like with Linnea here, I think hatred is speaking a lot more than reason. I think the whole Melusine thing is a big fucking reach. And I think the whole autism thing is big of a reach. I think hatred is speaking more than anything here. Not gonna lie.
Ironic considering how they want to portray her as an
I think she hates the character so much that she kind of overdid this a little bit.
outcast who had no friends because she was a fae who looked different. Also, can we talk about how her lore makes no sense because the Saritsa and the Fatui are meant to be hunting down fae and eradicating them, hence why Flynn's hides his identity. But it's just completely fine that Linnea is outwardly a fae, perhaps even more obviously so than Flynn's because she doesn't cover the wings on her head or her crystal markings. Whatever. I really hope people open their eyes to how terrible this character is. Sorry if you feel kinship with her. She is not cute, she is not funny, she has no appealing character traits, and there are far better characters out there whose stories are about yearning for acceptance.
I think there's a lot of hate coming from her with Linnea. Because she made Linnea seem like the devil. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot worse characters, design-wise and story-wise and like anything-wise. I think there's a lot of hate for Linnea from her, and she wanted to make her look as bad as possible. I think it's just a big fucking reach. I can understand the design. Design is very Charlotte-like. She does seem like a big copy of Charlotte in a way, but other than that, the whole Melusine things, that's crazy.
Anyway, back to the video.
That's a little bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie.
I feel the need to debunk something I've heard both in this fandom and in other fandoms with regards to sexualized character designs. She should be able to wear whatever she wants. It's feminist to let women express themselves how they want. Listen, I choose to believe that this argument isn't made in bad faith. It's more like people who say this have good intentions, but they don't understand what it is that they're actually saying. Yes, it's true that women in real life should be able to choose what they wear. If they want to wear revealing clothing, that is completely their choice. However, these women are not real and do not have the autonomy that we do. They are purposefully manufactured to be bait for the male gaze. They are animated in revealing outfits and drawn in uncomfortable poses and written into compromising situations on purpose. These developers have control over how these women are portrayed, and they choose to portray them increasingly as vessels for hypersexualization, fetishization, and fan service. That is not feminist. That's not to say that Hoyoverse doesn't do this in their other games. Zenless Zone Zero...
Oh, they fucking do. I mean, you're looking at one of them because, god damn, they have some jiggle physics.
...comes to mind, but to me, at least, that game is honest about what it is, and it
very true.
Has been since the beginning. Boob physics and maid outfits
very
and
true.
Schoolgirl uniforms and all. At least over there, the fan service...
You got Jane Doe.
...is a little more equally spread across the male and female characters. Genshin Impact still pretends that it's this grand world of exploration it was 4 years ago, while its writing and characters suffer. Expect visual upgrades like you've never seen before, all while we refuse to visually upgrade older characters because who gives a shit about them, right?
Don't show D-Look. Yo, they are never gonna update D-Look, bro. D-Look is just a laughing stock.
All while we refuse to visually upgrade older characters because who gives a shit about them, right? Or as we increase the shill for pay-to-win players. Or for Miliastra Wonderland,
True.
which no one fucking asked for and no one cares about. And for
Would it be bad if I said that I agree? I was excited about Miliastra in the beginning because I thought it was gonna have the abilities that Roblox has. That you can literally make anything. But realistically, it's not nowhere near it. Until Miliastra gets on the level of fucking Roblox, I'm not gonna play that shit. There are some good games, but there's just a lot of fucking slop. Like, literally slop. The best thing that came out of Miliastra, in my opinion, is the fucking DPS dummy. Like, that is the most useful thing that I've seen so far. And I wanted people... Look, I'm not saying Miliastra is a bad addition to the game. I think it's a really cool thing that has a lot of potential. But what I wanted from it is people to be fucking creative, to do some fucking horror stuff. Like a mode, like a horror mode. Fuck, make League of Legends in it. You know, it's that kind of stuff that I expected. Like, literally, something that doesn't feel like Genshin anymore. You know? But then you get the fucking tycoons and fucking steal the brain rot and whatever. Like, bro, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, it might just be because I'm like 23 years old, and if I was a kid, I would be more attracted to that. Right? Because kids are into it nowadays. But I just don't care about it. You know? And that might be a me problem. Miliastra might actually be a really good thing. But for me, I don't just care. I just don't care about it. I just don't think it really brings anything. I think of it, right now, I think of it as a cash grab for skins. And until it gets better, until I see some good fucking game modes, then my opinion isn't really going to change about Miliastra.
or for Miliastra Wonderland, which no one fucking asked for and no one cares about, and for hyper-specific gameplay mechanics that are incredibly team-limiting and rely on 2 or 3 limited characters
True.
to actually function, all while we continually offer less and less new map areas and free wishes each patch. I could
True.
go on forever about the state of this fucking game and how Hoyoverse doesn't
I think that's
actually
enough
give
of that for
a
now.
shit about their player.
Let's move on.
After all this complaining, people are probably thinking, it sounds like this game is causing you lots of undue stress. Maybe you should just quit and play something else. Look, maybe you don't get what it feels like to invest 5 years of your life into a game like this, with ever-expanding lore and new characters being introduced all the time. I guess maybe I didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time, back in 1.0 when I first started out. It sucks to invest so much of your time into a game only for it to let you down. I'm not gonna pretend that
Okay.
Genshin was perfect back then. There are so many weird, cop-outs that Hoyo pulls so that they can have sensitive themes in their games but not actually have them. Like Bennett saying that he has multiple dads, only for you to realize that it's because he's been raised by many older men in the Adventurers Guild, not because he has queer parents.
Yeah, when he said I have multiple dads, I was like, what do you mean by that? Because you can't mean what I think you mean, right? There's got to be a different meaning. You just said it a certain way. Because he said, yeah, I have multiple dads. What are you trying to say? Because there can be a few explanations for what you mean by it, you know?
It's because he's been raised by many older men in the Adventurers Guild, not because he has queer parents. But the problems have only gotten worse with time. There are even more cop-outs, like Flynn's being a victim of suicidal ideation, but he actually just went sleepy for a really long time. Or like Nicole, who is mute in name only. She just talks in people's heads using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability. Or like Nefer,
I like Nefer's gimmick. I think it's really cool. I think Nicole might be the best design that came from Nodgry. Actually. Looks-wise, she is beautiful. And her whole thing with speaking into your head is very, very cool. So I think Nicole might actually be the best character they've done in the entirety of Not Cry.
using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability, or like Nefer experiencing racism at the hands of the academia while having the palest skin you could possibly imagine. Regarding gameplay, as I said, the shill for current characters has only gotten worse with time, with boss enemies made specifically to be defeated by certain limited characters. Fontaine was
Kinda
the first
true.
region to introduce region-specific battle mechanics, Bond of Life, and Pneumosia.
Man, I'm so sad that they didn't expand on Bond of Life. I feel like Bond of Life was the most interesting thing they've done. Where you don't need a support. You can run a double DPS maybe or something like that. I'm so sad that they didn't expand on it.
But it wasn't so completely baked into the combat like Night Soul or Lunar Reactions are. You didn't need Bond of Life or Pneumosia to be anything in the game, but the Lord of Eroded Primal Fire weekly boss requires a character who can apply Night Soul damage. The game before the gate is built
you
for
got
quick
Traveler.
application of the Frozen Reaction, which is the specialty of Skirk and Escoffier. It's unfair to
I mean, even with Frozen, you got different teams that can do it. It's just that they'd make it so easy for some teams, while others are just going to struggle. And that's a big problem, right? With the flying crab, you're either going to use a lunar reaction, or a bloom, or you're not going to beat it. You know, and with the fucking moon gecko, you're either going to use a lunar crystallize, or it's going to be a lot more difficult to beat it.
people who aren't looking to pull every single character, like me, because I only pull characters I like, or free-to-play people who aren't looking to spend what could easily be hundreds of dollars on filling out their 5-star roster, also like me, because I don't have that kind of disposable income. Seeing Flynn's in that Nod Cry teaser was a lifesaver for me. Holy shit, a beautiful 5-star man with a mysterious backstory who's actually part of the meta, and oh my god, Lowen too. That face card is diabolical. It's been so long since I've been excited about characters like this. Most of the time now, I'm just like, well, Nicole's not my favorite, but...
Hey, bro, you're crazy. Nicole is absolutely beautiful. My god, such a beautiful character.
I guess I'll pull for her in the future if I have no other characters I want.
Such a beautiful character.
Lauma's design is pretty terrible, but I like her personality a lot. I guess I could get her if I have enough extra Primo Gems. So yeah, that's a lot of flaws. But guess what, guys? Hoyoverse fucking got me. Almost 6 years ago now, Hoyoverse wormed its way into my brain and put my mind in a Genshin Impact-shaped chokehold. At this point, I have so many mixed emotions about this game and its fan base. I love the beautiful fan art I see every day. I love the sense of humor that so many of these fans have. I love some of these characters so much, and thinking about them is so much fun, but sometimes I feel like the only sane person in any given comment section on the internet. Like, I'm the only person who sees this game for what it has become. People just refuse to be critical of this game despite enjoying it and knowing what it could be.
I think when it comes to characters, because I mean, she obviously hates Linnea's guts. She made Linnea look like a devil. I think when it comes to characters, I don't like a lot of newer ones. But again, it's all about taste, right? And we have a saying in my country where it's a lot, something along the lines of taste is not to be discussed, is not to be discussed about, because everyone has a different taste palette, right? What's salty to me might be unsalty to you, for example. So you can't really say what's salty enough. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with characters. What I like, me personally, I like when a character is not fully naked, for example. Do I think Lauma is hot? Fuck yeah, she's a hot ass character. Do I think Nefer's hot? Yeah. Same thing in Wuthering Waves. Is Sheen hot? Come on, bro. Sui Sui, same thing. But where I think what a lot of companies don't understand is, like I said, you don't need a half-naked character to have a male attracted to it. Arlecchino, Zani, Clorand, like characters that are fully dressed and yet are so good looking, right? Like you don't need a character to be fully naked to get someone's attention. And that's what I feel a lot of these gacha companies don't really understand, is that a fully clothed woman is as attractive, if not more attractive, than the one wearing a bikini suit. But again, that's my taste. People might disagree. But yeah, that's what I think of. To me, fully dressed women are just a lot more attractive. I mean, that you really can't argue with that. She brought a good point where you really need to pull teams to clear stuff instead of pulling characters, and that's the same thing that I say is you used to pull a character to put in a certain team. Now you gotta pull a fucking team in order to play that one character. Because characters on their own are really useless. Flints, Zibai, characters like that. But yeah, I mean, meta-wise, Genshin is going in a really bad direction with reactions and stuff. Character-wise, I mean, it's all about taste. And story-wise, it's really missing a villain right now. I don't like the power of friendship that they fucking do. But yeah, there's a little bit more left on the video, so I'm gonna let it finish.
It's a fandom and a community that I sometimes feel like I don't belong to. Like I should have left it a long time ago, and yet I can't stop playing it. Maybe it's an addiction, or maybe it's FOMO thinking about the upcoming characters I want to get in the future. Maybe I find the gameplay engaging. But ultimately, I think for me, it comes down to wanting to see where this story ends up, even though it continues to disappoint me the more the time goes on. I think Genshin set up a very strong emotional core with the missing sibling, and they strung us along just enough that I was invested, giving us hints of the sibling only a little at a time, all culminating in a quest called Bedtime Story a couple years ago, which is one of the only Genshin quests that's ever made me cry. I want to see the Traveler reunited with their twin at the end of this journey. I want to explore Snezhnaya and Conria. Even though Alice's design ended up being a little copy-paste, I adore her and I want to pull her and put her in a team with Klee and Dur.
I think Alice's design is good. I like her design.
I want to see Dainsleif become playable and hopefully introduce a new element into the gameplay. Who knows? Maybe Genshin will continue to disappoint me. Maybe there are no good villains left to meet, and maybe a playable woman in a freezing cold climate will be wearing a bikini.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Still gonna be pissed about that, but it's quests
Same.
like Durin's story quest, a beautiful tale of the devotion of motherhood and learning to make your own way in life, that give me very cautious optimism. I know that Hoyo is capable of amazing storytelling. That's what makes it so frustrating every time this game lets me down. But Hoyo, you've still got me for a while. Nice going, you made me addicted to your game, but the good stuff is what makes me want to stick around for a while. Even if it's only to watch my favorite little guys run around in my screen.
Okay. Yo, I'm gonna be very honest. Okay. I think... Okay. Alright. I think people take things way too much to heart. Like I said in the beginning of this video, they made this video look like the worst thing ever. They made the person that made the video look like the next coming of the Austrian painter. They literally made her look like Hitler. I'm gonna be honest. There's some parts of this video that genuinely feel like just hate speaking out of her. Specifically the Linnea part. Linnea part is genuinely just hate speaking out. I think she genuinely just despises the character so much that she wanted to portray her as bad as possible. Are there good things about the video? Yes. The first like, I would say like the first like 20 minutes of the video is very, very good. She spoke about real, like actual problems with resin, with books, with the whole Natlan fucking bullshit that happened. The power of friendship, the disappointment, the false expectations of a region. I agreed with like 90% of it. But then when you start speaking about characters, then it's more of a personal thing. I don't think you can say whether she is right or wrong because that's how she views it. But I would say that she did she did go a little bit overboard with some things. It's fine to not like a character, but there was genuine times where it feels like she hates the character so much that she nitpick the smallest details and enhances them to a very huge scale to make the character look worse than they actually are. And I feel like that's where most of the hate towards the video comes from. But again, I think people take stuff way too much to heart. Even though she did portray Lena as I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to say it to get demonetized, but you know very well how she depicts Lena. Again, it's how she views the character. Is it wrong? Yes. Very fucking wrong. But for most others, how she views Columbina, that's her view. I mean, she isn't completely wrong about Columbina. I do feel like Columbina could have been a lot more than what she ended up being. But again, it's my opinion. It's how I feel about it. There's really no saying what's right and what's wrong when it comes to taste. But what she did with Lena is genuine hate. With Professor as well. Yeah, overall, I think the video started off really well, but it just kind of ended up on a very hateful note. I'm gonna be honest, I think people just genuinely like overhated it. I don't see, and maybe it's a me problem, I don't see a reason to call the person an Austrian painter. Like, I think it's a crazy statement. But yeah, overall, it started off real well, but it just ended off on a very hateful note. Other than that, it had some very good points across. With the Torre, with a lot of things, she genuinely has a point. But after a while, it just turns into a hate fest. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what things do you agree with. Let me know what things do you not agree with. And yeah, man, it was a long one. See y'all very soon, man. Take care, man.